Hello lovebirds, TonyaTko here, and I wanted to speak very briefly on this Rick Ross situation with his date rape lyric. I wanted to read that for you guys and then discuss that for a little bit before I move on into the next video. Basically, there's this song called U.O.E.N.O, and the way they're pronouncing in the song, it's supposed to be you don't even know. Alright, and basically the song is about a lot of dubious, illicit, and gratuitous behavior in which the person who's singing the song is saying that this activity is happening covertly and there is some unknown, unnamed subject or subjects who are unaware of this activity, namely the price of his watch, mainly the fact that his BITCH is now out with him, and you know, a lot of different guns and a lot of, and you know what, I had to sit down and I had to endure almost 5 minutes of this song, and it really made me sad. Because, you know, when we think about, you know, the culture that is being raised in the midst of the bombardment of lyrics like these, and the fact that this is rising up out of our communities is really alarming. Not only that, when we talk about how the responsibility trickles down from the top, I'm not exactly sure how a lyric like this was even given the go-ahead. And then not only that, Reebok is one of Rick Ross's sponsors. He even mentions Reebok, saying that he's willing to die for his Reeboks in the song. So let's talk about the lyric, because I personally am stunned. When I heard it this morning, I felt nauseous, and then not only that, his apology that followed afterwards was really cause for alarm for me. So let me start by reading you the lyric. Rick Ross, who is a feature on this other person's song, he comes on with his lyric and he raps about some other stuff about how he died for his Reeboks and stuff, some stuff other people don't even know. And then so he goes on to say, put Molly in her champagne, she ain't even know it. I took her home and enjoyed that, she ain't even know it. And so the community across the world has risen up against this lyric, because in essence this is date rape. We didn't listen. You know, oh my goodness. Before I go into that, let me read you his response, right? Rick Ross got on to 93. I don't have it listed here, but I had it on the original. He went onto a radio station to give his quote-unquote apology for his lyric. He comes back and he says, well, and you know what, listen, you guys can, I tried to get the footage to add to this video, but you know, with copyright infringement and stuff like that, I couldn't add it. So all you have to do is just, you know what, as a matter of fact, on my Facebook page, I have a link to the Huffington Post, to a Huffington Post video where you can see the apology on there. So basically, he apologizes, quote unquote apologizes, by saying, woman is the most precious gift known to man, and there was a misunderstanding with a lyric, a misinterpretation. I would never use the term rape in my records, in my lyrics, and as far as my camp, hip-hop don't condone that, the streets don't condone that, nobody condoned that. Okay. Now, what is particularly alarming for me about this is that when he was giving his apology, he continued to say stuff like, I would never use the word rape, I would never use the term rape, etc. Alrighty. Yes, 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 Ricky, old boy. I'm sure that you would not use the quote-unquote term rape, but you guys remember that Shakespearean prose where it said a rose by any other name still smells as sweet? Well, guess what? I was going to say something. Doo-doo by any other name, even crap by any other name still smells a stink. Listen, it doesn't matter what you call it. You could use any name. You could call it gang rolling. You can call it like they do in South Africa. You could call it Laffy Taffy. You could call it whatever you want. Listen, whatever you want. You could call it cardboarding. Whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter what name you give it. Rape is rape. And so let me explain to some of you out there what exactly rape is, because you know what, I'm sure Rick Ross does not want to consider himself a rapist or a person who condones rape. But let me just explain what rape is. Rape is when you have sexual contact with a person without their consent. What does consent equal, and how do you get consent? Consent, listen, if the person is not of legal age to give consent, not of mental capacity to give consent, or not awake or cognizant or in a state catatonic or any number of things that takes away their ability to give consent, if that person does not explicitly express that they want to have intercourse with you, it's rape. So if you have intercourse with a person who is passed out, they did not give consent. If you have intercourse with a person who is under the legal age in the state or country that you're in, they cannot legally give consent. And if the person is of a mental state or capacity, including mental retardation, several different levels of autism, even if they are in a medically induced coma, if this person is not able to explicitly say, okay, let's do this, that is rape. And you know what, it's unfortunate that, you know, that when he gave his apology, he was mainly focused in on the word rape. And you know what, the thing is that I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there who have participated in rape who don't like to consider themselves rapists because, oh, you know, it would hurt them too much to call themselves rapists. But rape is rape, and unfortunately, that's what you are. If you've had intercourse with a person who did not give consent, that legally makes you a rapist. And I know that the word rape is harsh, and nobody wants to be associated with it, etc. But you know, much like in Steubenville, when we had those boys coming out, breaking down in the front of the court, crying about, oh, how now they're going to be known as rapists, and the people coming out on CNN talking about how it's unfortunate that these young boys are going to have to go the rest of their lives with the labeled with the term as rapists, and they're going to have to, you know, they're going to have to file as sex offenders, etc., for the rest of their lives. And I'm like, you know, when the person was unconscious and they decided to use their penis as a weapon, you know, where was the consciousness of their decision then? When was the accountability then, when they were using their penises as weapons? You know, and I think that rape is a particularly deplorable and loathsome crime, because you know, men are 33% stronger than women on average, even for the even same size, you know. And when you use your God-given and your God-ordained strength, you know, to hold a person down, and then when you use your sex organ as a weapon against a person, that makes you just, you know, when you take the most intimate act that can exist between two human beings physically, and you turn that into a crime, and then it gets switched around somehow into how, oh, this is not what you are according to the label, but the person who has been raped is now under the label of rape, and they have to deal with that. You know, it's like, you know what, the whole thing is just troublesome and just so disturbing. And you know, people are lashing out at the hip hop community, etc. But we as a culture, we have a rape culture that is pervasive. It's interwoven in almost everything that we do. So much so that even in this day and age, we have people talking about, oh, don't be such a slut and you won't get raped. Oh, don't dress like that and you won't be raped. Do you think a person like Rick Ross has to rape anybody? No, I'm sure there are plenty of groupies who are willing to give him sex freely. You think he has to roofie anyone? No. But rape is not a crime of sex. Rape is a crime of power, a crime of those people who feel that they are untouchable, the people who are unapologetic, and people who have this this privileged, entitled mentality that it doesn't matter whether you give consent or not. They feel that they are entitled to your body. I guess because so many other people would give consent or have given consent in the past, doesn't even matter to them whether or not you do or don't give consent. They're going to run rampant and do whatever it is that they want. And this has to stop. It has nothing to do with what a woman or a girl is wearing. Listen, old ladies get raped. Little girls get raped. And then let's talk about little girls for a quick moment, because the video that I'm going to do after this one, we're going to talk about, you know, the young ladies who were twerking and the father beat them with this extension cord. We're going to talk about that after this video. But let's talk about young girls. You know, we have a culture in which people are so quick to quote unquote label young girls fast because they are engaging in intercourse, or a tremendous amount of intercourse at an early age. So they're like, oh, that girl is hot. She's a little fast tail because she's having sex with older men. So they're like, oh, she's fast. Or she's having sex with groups of people at a time. When do we as a culture and as a society stop and say, how did this little girl at her underage become introduced to intercourse? And why is it that she is turning to intercourse as some sort of recreation or some sort of way to wreck herself? Not only that, where's the accountability for the quote unquote young men who are gang raping this person, talking about they were quote unquote running a train? So they don't want to call it rape, so they'll say that they were running a train. Meanwhile, this young lady is in a room with 4 or 5 boys or older guys much stronger than her, and unable to freely not participate in this activity. You know what? I know a guy. I have a friend who had some really horrifying friends back in the days. And these horrifying friends decided that they were going to kidnap this girl. Now the laws, and remember OJ got sentenced for kidnapping. The laws of kidnapping are very wide and fluid. If a person feels that they cannot leave, and if you've taken them, listen, just like OJ was like, nobody's gonna go anywhere from here, they charged him with kidnapping. So if you remove a person from a certain place and take them somewhere, and they feel that they cannot leave, that person is technically kidnapped. Yes. So if you take a person, let's say you pick up a young lady from the nightclub, or from the schoolyard, and you bring her somewhere, and there are 4 or 5 young men there, all strong. She knows they're all stronger than her, and they're all packed with penises that they're ready to use as weapons, and she does not feel that she has the ability to leave, or the ability to demand her release, because she feels that she's not going to be released anyway. That's kidnapping. And then when all 4 or 5 of those young men, quote unquote, run a train on this young lady, which is really gang rape, where she has not given, number 1, she's kidnapped. Number 2, she is not freely and willingly given her consent. Because listen, absence of consent is not consent. Somebody unable to say, no, I do not want to do this, is not the same as somebody saying, yeah, bring it on, I'm ready to make a porno movie. No, that's not the same. They're very different things. So absence of consent is not consent. You need to make sure that you do get consent. And if you are not sure whether or not you have consent, the person is partially passed out or whatever, don't do it. Don't get yourself in trouble, boy. So anyway, you know what? On a final note, let me just bring it back to Rick Ross real quick and then just tie this up. He said that there was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding of what? Do you guys know what inflection is? Inflection is when you emphasize a word or a sound inside of a string of words, or when you emphasize a certain portion of that. If you listen to the lyrics of the song, where he says, put Molly all in her champagne, she didn't even know it. I took her home and enjoyed that, she didn't even know it. Now, if you listen to the inflection that he used in the second verse, he says, I took her home and enjoyed that, she didn't even know it. So he emphasized that. What was the that? The only thing that we had been talking about was a young lady, champagne, and the Molly he put in her drink. So what was the that he enjoyed? There are only 3 things in that sentence. The Molly, do you think that he enjoyed the Molly? No, because he already used it in her champagne. Do you think he enjoyed the champagne? No, because she was the one who drank it. So what was it that he enjoyed besides her? So what is it considered when you say, I enjoyed that, I enjoyed her, and she didn't even know it? If you have enjoyment with a person Listen, in the middle of the night, you bring somebody home to your apartment after you've drugged them, or you take them to their home after you've drugged them and say that you've enjoyed that. What is the that? What is the that? So where's the misunderstanding, Mr. Ross? Excuse me. I can't even call you Mr. Ricky. Where's the misunderstanding? Let's put this person to task. And I have people on my Facebook page. Come over to my Facebook page. Facebook.com/TonyaTko show. I have people on my Facebook page talking about, oh, other people have sang about it in the past. What's the big deal now? Or, oh, this other people have sang about it. Why are they targeting him? Oh, this is rhetoric. Why all of a sudden we upset? Who was it? Was it Martin Luther King who said that the biggest travesty is not those acts enacted by the evil people who are doing those acts, but the quote-unquote good people who do nothing? How long are we supposed to sit around and do nothing? How long are we just supposed to sit around and let these things continue and perpetuate? This is 2013. It's a whole new year, and this is the year of the awakening. When people talk about the world ended 12 12 12, what really ended was the sleep that we were in. And slowly, one by one, we see people who are coming awake and coming alive into a new existence of enlightenment. So here we are, we have woken up. And then, you know what, before I go, let's talk about two things. Number one, who approved this lyric? Who? You know what, it seems like a joke. It seems like the joke is on us. When you look at, and you know what, listen, number one, who do you think is listening to this, and who do you think this is going to be perpetuated against? You know, we have young people who look up to these rappers, and then they rap these types of lyrics. Oh, okay, well, it's okay if the person is unconscious. Those boys in Steubenville realize that it's not. It's not okay if a person is unconscious. You don't put your penis in or on a person when they don't have the consent to give it, or the ability not to have that done to them. They don't. You don't. So then let's talk about, one, who approved this lyric. On my website, TonyaTko.com, I put up this article with this anonymous letter that was written about this setup that is happening in the hip-hop community, in which people, you know what, you have to read this letter to fully get the full grasp of it. Basically, it's a record exec. If you go to my page, it's on the scrolling bar. It's a picture of Dr. Dre and them from when they were younger, way back in the days. Go and read that letter, and it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense, because I can't understand why half of the songs that are out are being approved by, and why are these songs pumped? These types of songs about violence, songs about guns, songs of hip-hop used to be, you know, a coming of age, you know, artistic expression in which people talked about school and parents and dating and relating. Now it's all about drugs, money, sex, and rape. Calling people B's, calling people N's, talking about violence, etc. How is this the stuff that is pushed and pummeled onto us as a society? And I'm like, this has to be a setup. Ain't no way possible that there are no other recording artists that can get a deal. I love Immortal Technique, and his rap, his stuff is well produced, and he is deep and intricate, and he talks about a wide array of different things. But why is it that he has to stay underground? Why is it that people like Talib Kweli are not more popular? Why is it that people like Lupe Fiasco are not more popular? But these garbage trash lyrics are constantly pushed onto us and replayed on the radio over and over and over and over again. This mindless, droning lyrics and entertainment. I don't even want to get onto reality shows, because it's like we're being kept dumb and numb for a reason. And read that letter about how hip-hop and how this music and this culture is churning out criminals. At one generation after another, more and more criminals which are feeding the system, who are working for free labor, or what, 50 cents a week in the slammer, making goods that are priced 1,000% higher, making military equipment and electronics and stuff that we are buying. Number one, oh gosh, listen, we could talk about this all day long, but I'm going to finish up the video. I'd love to get your thoughts on that. And then let's finish up with the fact that Reebok is sponsoring Rick Ross. Did they not know what he rapped about before they started sponsoring him? And it's like, this is just a setup. How are they supporting this man? How are they saying, okay, what it is that you're doing is all right? I had to stop listening to my radio when that song he made. What was it had such a beautiful beat. It was about Maybach music, and it had such a beautiful beat and lyric. And then like his words were singeing into my brain and mind, and I was like, I had to get away from this nonsense. It was nauseating and sickening. And this is the person that Reebok decided to exalt with their sponsorship. Are they out of their minds, or is this a setup of some sort? So I mean, come on. I gotta get off this video. I'm just so disgusted right now. Let's hug. Let me calm down. Let's hug. Oh, I love you guys very, very much. Whew, this was a very hard video to make. I don't normally make ranting videos, but this is just such a huge problem. So on that note, I am going to get out of here, and I'm going to record that video on that whooping, because I think that some of you are going to be surprised by what it is that I have to say. So make sure you subscribe to my videos here on YouTube so that you can know when I put out new videos, or you can come to my website, which the link is right here. TonyaTko.com. You can join the mailing list over there, and I'll let you know when I have new videos and new things, and my book coming out, which is Lessons from a Motherless Child, 10 Most Crucial Secrets About Love, Sex, and Self-Esteem. I had to learn the hard way so that you don't have to. So that's my book coming out. You can get on the mailing list for that. And I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/TonyaTko Show. And I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest as @TonyaTko. And that's Tonya, what? That's right, with an O, T-O-N-Y-A. So go out there and love one another. Oh, God, please love one another, because know that when anybody gets, when anybody gets victimized out there, we all get victimized, because this perpetuates itself throughout our culture. And these are not people who are far removed from us. They are us. You know, the biggest fallacy that we have is that we're all separate, but this is 2013, and awakening is coming now. So wake up, people. This type of foolishness can't continue. And young ladies, listen, if you've ever been put in a situation in which you did not explicitly give consent, go to the station. Go to the station, because it's unfortunate in other people's minds that these people will be labeled as rapists, but no, they need to be labeled as what it is that they are: deplorable people who use their sex organ and their God-given strength as a weapon against somebody smaller and weaker than them. Come on, I'm out of here. Tonya TKO, and I am out. Peace.